The public school education system, ladies and gentlemen, is in full panic mode. As I have shown you before on my videos, the homeschool community is now the fastest growing form of education in this country. There's a reason for that. We're going to get into it today. But before we get into that, I want to plug my Patreon page. I'm still giving away these books for as little as $1 a month. If you join my patron page, you can join for $1. These books will cost you no, the price has come down. I think this one is now $876 each if you buy the paperback. And the other one, the supplement, is $994 on Amazon. So the price has come down a little bit. The reason these books are so valuable is because of the information contained within. This is long lost information. This is stuff that has long been taken out of circulation. This guy wrote these books back in the 1800s. The pharmaceutical companies do not want you to know this information. If you have an apothecary at home and you want to make natural remedies and tinctures, these are the books you want to have on your shelf, and you can get them by joining my Patreon page. If you can't find the links over there at Patreon, send me a text or send me a message over at Patreon and I will make sure you get the links. Also, perfectpickler.com, we have the master kits for growing your own probiotics at home. One of the best ways to ensure your family's health is to grow your own probiotics. It's very easy to do. The master system is very simple to operate. It's load it, lock it, and leave it. You can find more information over at perfectpickler.com. This is our own Homestead business that we operate here on the Homestead. All of the products ship right here at the Homestead to your door. That's perfectpickler.com. Continuing the showcase, the complete and total collapse of the public school system, a number of articles came out just this last week showing how millions of U.S. students are missing school. The attendance is on the downward swing big time. This here from Scripps News, millions of U.S. students missing school as attendance declines. A third of U.S. school districts had more than half of their school facing extreme chronic absence. The kids aren't going to school. The frequency of student absences in the United States has risen significantly compared to pre-pandemic levels, with high poverty schools facing particularly alarming rates. In a new study using the 2021-22 school year, they're not even talking about this last year, from the U.S. Department of Education and published by the Attendance Works on Friday, it was revealed that nearly 30% of students, approximately 14.7 million kids, faced chronic absence, significantly affecting the learning experience for those who did not attend school. No wonder we can't get these kids to learn how to read and write. They're not showing up. Over at the New York Times, students are missing school at an alarming rate. The academic achievement of millions of American students faltered during the pandemic and in many cases has not recovered now 3 years later. And then a few days later, just the other day, this article comes out saying, oh, I know how to boost attendance. We'll make school the place to be. Let's make school fun again. We won't actually make the kids learn anything, but we'll just make it a fun place to be. Yeah, that's going to work. Over at the Washington Post, it continues on. 2 in 5 D.C. students were chronically absent last year, data shows. High schools suffered the most, with 60% of older students missing weeks of school. And then just the other day, this article came out. Florida school district adding now 4-day weekends to help increase student attendance. Yes, the way we get kids to actually show up to school is to give them more time off from school. Now, if you've been hanging out on my channel for a while, you know what I'm about to say now. There's 2 reasons why people are pulling their kids out of the public school system. Number one, during the pandemic, parents for the first time saw the curriculum their kids were learning and they said, this is a bunch of garbage. There's no way my kids are going to excel being taught this kind of nonsense. And number 2, the second reason was they saw for the first time, these parents, how low the bar was set. And the parents thought to themselves, if my kids are going to compete, in what's called the real world, I've got to get my kids out of these school systems and give them a higher bar for them to achieve. That way, that will help ensure their success. And so parents have pulled their kids out of the public school system in droves, causing a mass panic inside of the public school system. And if you understand how government programs work, when you take money away from government programs, those government programs will do anything. There's no limits. They will do anything to make sure that they can continue to survive on those federal tax dollars. When you don't have kids, those warm bodies sitting in those classroom seats, they lose federal tax dollars. The entire system as a whole, all the way down to the little public schools in those little rural towns, all the way up to the Department of Education, they lose access to federal tax dollars. And they will do anything to ensure their continued existence. Now, let's switch over here for a second. I'm going to show you a parallel. Have you noticed that every time there's some sort of horrible shooting incident in this country, there's a certain group of people who will cling on to that incident and use it to help propel their political agenda of getting rid of guns, getting rid of firearms, getting rid of access to different accessories to firearms. They will never let one of those incidents go unused to help further their agenda of taking firearms out of the hands of the public. It's going to be the same way with the public schools. And we've seen a case of that here recently, and we're seeing more cases of that. If there's ever a time where they can see an incident where a homeschool family has acted wrongly, or there's been some sort of abuse, or there's some sort of thing that they can, even if it's made up, even if it's not true at all, they will use that and use the media to show Americans far and wide why we need to regulate and take away the ability for the American family to homeschool their children. At the very least, highly regulate it. That's what we saw this week. Over at the state of Michigan, Lansing, Michigan, the Michigan Attorney General's office has issued charges against 4 people from DeWitt, including a former child advocate for the state, alleging they conspired to adopt dozens of children whom they went on to abuse. Joel and Tammy Brown and Jerry and Tamal Flore, I don't know how you pronounce that name, each face multiple counts of child abuse. They have until Friday to turn themselves in. That's today. Attorney General Dana Nessel said at a Monday news conference. The allegations in this matter are heinous and egregious, Nessel said. Between the two families, more than 30 children who had already previously been removed from abusive homes were placed in the suspect's care through the fostering or adoption. The two couples went on to subject the children, to prolonged, routine, and systemic mental and physical abuse under the guise of discipline, and all for personal financial gain. We believe Joel Brown used his decades of experience as a CPS employee to skillfully and successfully hide the abuse happening within his home and to help the Flores hide the abuse in their home as well, Nessel said. It's clear that many of the child witnesses in this matter were coached and the investigation was compromised. Now, that was published on December 5th. Now we go over to December 6th. A new article was published. The children, just a day later, the children respond to parents' abuse allegations. Lansing, Michigan, 2 couples from DeWitt have been accused of child abuse by the state attorney general's office, but now some of the adoptive children are calling the charges bogus. An investigation has been underway for several years to get to this point, but 6 news reporters got the chance to sit down with 3 of the children adopted by Jerry and Tamil Flores, and they have a very different side of the story. The children, who are now adults, told our team that the allegations of their parents abusing them physically and emotionally come as a shock since charges were dropped back in April. So the state has been after these couples for a while now, and they have not been able to finally get a prosecution because the children are all like, there's no abuse going on here. And even the adult children are saying there's no abuse going on here. My first response was just shock. Like, what is going on? Said Shamber Brown, who was adopted by the Flores at 7 years old. But then I think it turned into anger just because the past 2.5 years has been really difficult for my family. It's like a movie, Brown said. You hear that your parents might go to prison, and it's like, why? They're outstanding parents. So from my understanding, from what I have heard, these are homeschool families. Okay, and from what I understand, they're active within their Christian community in their community. So that's strike 1, strike 2. And strike 3 is they actually discipline their children. Can anybody within the sound of my voice who has probably seen the internet in the last year or so, and you've seen all these videos of these teenagers running into department stores, grabbing as much merchandise as they can, and then running out, I would go on to perhaps place a bet if I was a betting man in Vegas. I'm not, but if I was, that perhaps these children were not spanked enough as children. Leave a comment below and let me know if you agree. That is a result of bad parenting. And here we have parents who, actually discipline their children when they misbehave in order to grow up functioning and well-behaving adults. Oh, that's strike number 3. You're out. The state's coming after you. The parents say, hey, we've never abused our kids. The adult kids are saying we were never abused by our parents. And the underage kids are saying we're not abused. And the state's saying, oh, you've been coached to say that. We know you've been abused. Has your parents ever spanked you on your bottom? Oh, you've struck a child. That's abuse. I think the kids running out of department stores carrying tons of merchandise, I mean, is it possible to still bend them over someone's knee and do what needs to be done? Can we all agree that those kids really need a good spanking? Can we all agree that this is why I sell so many of my shirts, Stupid Should Hurt, because we need more hurt in this world because there's so much stupid? You can find the shirt linked in the description below over at teespring.com or at my website at americanhomestead.com. We need more hurt in this world because there's a whole lot of stupid robbing department stores because parents didn't put kids over their knee and do what needed to be done. Oh, and this family did. Listen, you can read between the lines in these articles. And I've had enough emails or contact from people to understand, I think, what's going on here. Here's the reality, folks. This is the world we're living in right now. Homeschooling, they're trying their best to get you to stop doing this. It's threatening their system. Just like firearms affects the ability for the government to control you in any way possible, homeschooling allows you to instill independent thoughts into your children, to think critically of government and everyone. They don't like homeschooling families. They have to do something about this. They have to tear down the system. And many states around our country right now are doing whatever they can do underhandedly and in the shadows to tear apart the homeschool community and to go after the homeschool community. This is why we all need to rally around each other and support each other. And listen, the cat's out of the bag. So many people pulled out of the public school system that you now have a significant voting block in the homeschool community. Support other homeschoolers, go to homeschool events, conferences, and speaking events, and get involved and have a voice. Crazy, crazy times. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Before you go, hit the like on that button. And for goodness sakes, buy a Stupid Should Hurt shirt right there. It's our best-selling shirt of all time. If we had more hurt in this world, we'd have an awful lot less stupid. See you next time in the Homestead. Bye! 2023 is almost over, and a recent Bloomberg article states that the central bank gold buying binge around the world is bigger than anyone previously thought. And in mid-November of 2023, the Dutch central bank admits that it is ready for a new gold standard, having equalized all of its gold reserves relative to its GDP. Like it or not, everyone in the world's banking sectors understands that the U.S. reserve currency status is going to fail. The U.S. dollar today is not backed up by anything of value, and that now includes oil. In fact, our national debt is now larger than our entire GDP. Just the interest alone on our debt is larger than our entire military budget, and it's only getting bigger. Congress won't stop spending money, and the Fed won't stop printing money. The smart money around the world is moving to gold and silver, and you can too. AmericanGoldEscape.com can help. If you have money and cash reserves banked away, or if you have savings in a 401k or IRA, and you want to move that money to physical gold and silver, AmericanGoldEscape.com will begin that process for you. This company has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and will answer any questions you have about safeguarding your wealth. Time is running out. Do not wait any longer to visit AmericanGoldEscape.com. Link is in the description below.
Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.